everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Everything is fine here on Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Mike, flying solo today. There's some Minnesota sports playoffs going on, and I like Minnesota sports, but I'm a Wisconsin guy, so I'm more Wisconsin sports. But Bogey is watching the Timberwolves and the Wild, who are both playing late night games today. So I don't blame them. If my teams were in the playoffs, I'd want to be watching them. So I'm flying solo today. Here to talk Star Wars with all you fans out there, specifically around the Maul Shadow Lord show, episodes 5 and 6. So looking forward to diving into that. Really quickly, I'll run through the business elements. So you can find us on Twitter at DetBlockAA23pod, on Instagram at detention_block_AA_23, and our Facebook group and YouTube channel, Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. And you can find us on TikTok at DetBlockAA23. If you're listening to us right now, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, rate, review, all the above. We greatly appreciate it. Any little thing you can do definitely helps get our channel's name out there amongst all the other Star Wars channels, which there are quite a few of them. As a reminder, once we hit 200 subscribers, we will have a prize giveaway. That one hasn't been revealed. We won't reveal that one until we actually have the drawing. And then once we hit 500 subscribers, we will be giving a prize giveaway of a Theory Saber lightsaber. So you're not going to want to miss that one. Again, hit that subscribe button. Make sure your name's public so that I know what name to put in the drawing. And we will have that once we hit 200, which we're getting close. Or 500, sorry. That one's at 500. But we're getting close to the 200 one. So make sure to subscribe so you can join in on that. As a warning, spoiler alert, again, we will be talking episodes 5 and 6 of Maul Shadow Lord today. So if you haven't watched those episodes yet, put us on pause, go watch them, and come back and listen to us and hear what we have to say. Our chat is up and running right now, so come bring your questions, comments, theories, ideas, all of it. Bring you in a part of the show just as much as I am, and always curious to hear what our listeners have to say about what's going on. So we will start with episode 5 really quick. And I will say I'm just going to kind of brush through today, go a little faster because, one, I'm a little under the weather, 2, flying solo, and 3, I got to get up early and it's really late. So we'll probably go through these at a quicker pace. And especially with episode 5, that one even faster because there was not as much going on in that one. Still a really good episode. So episode 5 is called Inquisition. But it was more of a setup episode. You know, in this you have the Empire is arriving to Janix and kind of taking control over everything. So this is following Two Boots betraying or going behind Lawson's back, calling in the Empire. And if you recall, at the end of episode 4, you see the Star Destroyer flying in. So we pick up right where that left off. Lieutenant Blake, he's kind of the head Imperial here, arriving on Janix and comes in and stakes his claim in taking over the station and what's going on. And his TK troopers lock the planet down. No one is allowed in or out now, so on lockdown. And the planet is kind of in chaos at this moment. You know, they're having mandatory ID checks. There's a lot of fear taking place amongst key players and the citizens. There's increased surveillance. Riley becomes increasingly anxious. And what's really cool too is we get to see some LAAT transports flying through. So bring us back to the Clone Wars days. Always love the sound of that ship flying through. It's always recognizable. And we also get to see many stormtroopers arriving, and it's kind of an early version of the stormtrooper or the OT stormtrooper uniforms and armor. It's a little bit of a mix between the clone armor and stormtrooper armor. Again, like it's a transition that takes place in terms of when the clone troopers are essentially disbanded and when humans kind of take over stormtrooper uh, positions essentially. So we're still in the early phase of that. Still a lot of clone troopers. I mean, you figure they had tons of them. Don't want them to go to waste. But after what has happened, obviously they're going to go like through a rebranding type of a thing. So our two main Jedi, we've got Daki and Devin. They quickly realize, okay, the Empire's here. We know what the Empire wants. Hunt us down. So it's time to leave. And essentially Daki's like, let's have the Empire take care of Maul because Devin is kind of, interested in that. But Daki, let's leave the Empire to take care of Maul. They're more than capable of handling it. What's important is survival for us. We need to get on and get moving. There is no Jedi Order if we can't survive. So that's the number one priority. But obviously, it's not going to be that simple. We see them hopping on it or trying to get on a train to leave. Even though that again, there's no. You keep hearing in the background of the episode like no inbound or outbound transportation from the system. So either way, they got to find a way to. And I think their number one thought is go to Lawson and see what he can do to help out. But they're trying to avoid stormtroopers. Inevitably, they do get spotted, or not spotted, but they get approached because they're asking everyone for their identification, and we get to see the good old Jedi mind trick, the same thing that Obi-Wan Kenobi used on Stormtrooper. You don't need to see our identification. So Daki pulls that on one of the Stormtroopers. It works, but these Stormtroopers are a little more intelligent because, one that was nearby was kind of witnessing everything happening, and he's like, why the hell did you just let those guys go without showing you identification? And the Stormtrooper was like, they are approved to go or something along the lines. And he just essentially caught himself and was like, oh, stop those. So that, stop those two. So then they start chasing after them. And this is where they get engaged in terms of get shot at. They have to pull out their lightsabers, start fighting them. And they're slicing and dicing them. They're not holding back too much. So this is, again, even though this is animated, this is not necessarily a kid's show because it is quite violent. But they make their way through. They're defending themselves, fighting off the stormtroopers in an effort to get away and just get some more action and scenes and fighting. So that's pretty cool. We don't really get much of Maul in this episode. We get little pieces here and there, but more so it's focused on Lawson, Daki, and Devin. But he's kind of in the outskirts. He's kind of spying on the situation because obviously he still wants to acquire Devin as an apprentice, so that's kind of his main goal. I mean, he even gets approached by Rook and was like, "We need to get out of here. The Empire is here." And he's like, "We need to hold true to our main objective at the moment, which is obtaining Devin." And Vario is still there. He's asking Maul like, what did he see needed for the now that the crime syndicates have been, or the leader has been taken out, and the Empire is going to be shutting down everything. So he's like, what do you need me for? And Maul essentially just lets him go. He's like, you're free to go now. So, but Vario is like, well, there's nowhere for me to really go, so I'll just stay here in the undergrounds. So he'll probably be around here and there. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be assisting Maul and his syndicate, but we'll see. Again, back at the police station, So Blake, what was the name? Blake, I want to say. I think I already mentioned it earlier. Yeah, Blake. So Blake is the lieutenant, I think, kind of the lead Imperial officer taking over the police station, and he wants to speak uh, to the leader, and he wants to essentially interrogate anyone that might have information on Maul and his whereabouts, and warns people not to withhold information, otherwise it will not be good for them. So the captain, I can't remember her name, um, but kind of steps in for Lawson here, and I mean, I guess she is his superior, so he um, would be or she would be a a large potential person to interrogate here. And I'm trying to recall. Give me a moment here. Uh, did I mean, she knows what happened, and she's taking the fall here. Yeah. Okay. And then as she's being taken away, Lawson kind of jumps in here and is like, "Oh," and then she's like, "No, no, no, no." Anyways, to make a long story short, um, Blake, when Lawson and Blake meet up again, he's like, she's been relocated, and we find out later on that in this interrogation room, when Lawson gets brought in, there's scratch marks on the desk. So we're led to believe something not so pretty happened here. Um, I wonder if I think of something similar to the Andor show when the interrogation of what's her name takes place, and they put that headset and that like has the screams or whatever that's supposed to people or make people go crazy. I wonder if it was something like that. Um, Trying to think of other major things that happened in this episode before we move on to the the main episode of the evening. I know Devin and Docky, they're kind of arguing about Maul's influence on the situation, whether or not they should trust him. Devin's like, well, he can really help us. Maybe he's not the enemy. Uh, Dacky gets injured. I think that's going to be of some importance, especially in the when you see them fighting the stormtroopers, or in the next episode, it kind of holds him back a little bit. So who knows? This might kind of lead into his own, demise, which I believe is kind of inevitable at this point. Um, and yeah, it kind of at the end there again, Devin and Docky are on the run, and they end up hiding out in Lawson's house. So you get some interactions with Lawson's son again. Uh, it's kind of cool because you, they name drop the sport, but I can't. Bakodi or something like that. Um, I'm spacing on it. But you get more insight on that sport, and you get to see like the ball that they use and everything. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the main rundown for episode 5. Again, Inquisition. Oh, of course, the the name of this episode leads into what is probably another main point of this episode is we get Merrick. So when Lawson gets brought in for interrogation, Merrick comes up behind him and kind of puts his hands on his shoulders, and um, it confronts him about, I have some questions and you better answer them honestly. And I think if I remember correctly, when Lawson gets brought in, Blake alludes to that, like, you might want to be more upfront than your predecessor here. So yeah, so obviously Inquisitors have now been thrown into the game, specifically Merrick, and we'll get plenty of action with him in the upcoming episode as well. So we will move on to episode 6, which is Night of the Hunted. We do get a little bit more Maul in this episode, more so in the second half of it. It's still really focused around Devin, Daki, and Lawson, along with the Empire and Merrick. But there is a lot more action at this. We start out where Daki and Devin are hiding out at Lawson's apartment, and Lawson knows that they're hunting down Jedi, and anyone that's harboring or aiding Jedi or Maul or Force wielders, bad things are going to happen. So Lawson's aware of this. So because his son brought in them to kind of safeguard, he's not too happy about this. He's like, you don't realize what you've done. And he more blames Daki and Devin because he feels that they're obviously aware of what's transpiring, and now they putting him and his son in jeopardy. So not good. So they need to come up with an escape plan, and it's essentially which is a casino now. I don't know if we knew that, but he has this friend who we thought maybe was like part of the syndicates, a crime lord or something. It sounds like she was a prior bounty hunter who actually saved Lawson's life, and Lawson saved her life. So they've known each other for a while and owe each other great life debt essentially. But she manages a casino, and their plan is, if anyone can get us off this planet, that's on lockdown, it's her. And Lawson comes up with this idea. Riley, is that her name? No, maybe. Or no, Riley's the son's name. That's right. Okay. Anyways, so they're gonna utilize this contact. They go to see her, and in that process, you see stormtroopers start coming in. So the Empire is coming there, and shit's about to hit the fan here. So, but going back, before that happens, the Merrick, the Inquisitor, does encounter them in the house. When I first saw this, so you see the front door, the lightsaber coming through, the red saber, signifying that the Inquisitor. I mean, I guess it could have been Maul, but I knew it was the Inquisitor because the Galactic Empire was coming in on everyone. Well, first of all, how did the Inquisitor trace that? Well, it's the Empire. They've got eyes everywhere. Anyways, so the Inquisitor comes through, and they have an attack sequence. They're fighting, take out some stormtroopers that were brought with, and fleeing, they hijack one of the LAAT series ships, and that was kind of a cool scene. And you get one where Devin jumps onto the cockpit because they're going to end up using one of the transport ships to kind of get away, but she jumps on the windshield of it, and it was very reminiscent of I think it was the first Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, had to be, when the main Inquisitor jumps on a ship with, or the main crew's ship, and kind of spins it around and around. This scene kind of reminded me of that, when Devin jumps onto the stormtrooper piloted LAAT series ship and kind of takes over. So she gets it, and then she goes and picks up the Lawson and Riley and Daki. Let me go over my notes really quick. They flee. They hijack the ship. So then, of course, in all this, the Empire sees, I mean, it's Lawson's house, and he's safe harboring the Jedi, so now he's going to be a fugitive. And all because of Two Boots, which he gets called out by um, Lieutenant Blake that his boots are not up to code or whatnot. So he's his namesake he has to replace. But in that scene, because again, Two Boots is the one that kind of betrayed Lawson, and there was a scene where Lawson is trying to explain this to Two Boots, but just Two Boots just won't understand in terms of the problem with bringing in the Empire. So Lawson kind of calls him out for that, and you see in the scene where Blake or the Lieutenant Blake is talking to Two Boots after they finish their conversation. Two Boots almost has this look in his eye, even though he's a droid, that he's kind of realizing a situation, like the calculations are not matching up for this being the right move. So something tells me that Two Boots will be coming back and helping the crew and Lawson and helping them escape. So we'll see on that. Anyways, we go back to the casino. Okay, Sewell's casino. So yeah, her name is Sewell. And the Empire tracks them down, and we get another action sequence where because she goes out to confront them as the stormtroopers are coming up, and she almost wasted no time. I mean, she's like, "You can't come in here" and whatnot, and she's resisting a little bit, and they take a hold of her, and she just starts fighting them. She's like, "F it, gonna go down in glory if this what happens." But she's a bounty hunter. She's completely capable of defending herself, and it's just a few stormtroopers, so that was probably within her calculation. Be like, all right, I can handle this. So then in this kind of action sequence, the crew kind of gets split up. So you have Lawson with Daki and Devin and Riley. Because Lawson tells Riley to go as he's like fighting with Daki, or not fighting Daki, but Daki and Lawson are fighting off the stormtroopers. And Daki reassures Lawson, Devin is completely capable. Riley is safe with her. So the two, Riley and Devin, flee in an effort to escape, while Lawson and Daki just try to give him some time. The action scenes in this show have been fantastic, and obviously the lightsaber duels are amazing. Even the blaster fighting or the hand-to-hand combat, it's just as good. Well, okay, maybe not just as good, but it's pretty darn close. It just feels extremely different compared to the fighting we've seen in other like animated shows, Clone Wars, Rebels. It just seems more purposeful, more real. I mean, there were times when I was watching these episodes, specifically episode 6, and I was like, this, and I think we talked about this maybe last week or the week before, but this feels like a theatrical movie. Like, this feels more like a movie in the theaters versus a TV show, animated show nonetheless, which just, gives praise to the artists, the choreographers. The soundtracks play a huge part in this. But I mean, it's almost like, I don't know, the choreography for even the blaster fire and hand-to-hand combat is just phenomenal, top notch, and just puts me in awe every time I'm watching this show. So in the fleeing, Merrick does come across Riley and Devin. So Devin kind of steps in and engages and, tells Riley to keep going. And Devin did a good job of standing her ground. I mean, they're taking blow for blow, fighting. I mean, I don't think anyone actually got hit, but they're pairing and fighting very evenly. And I mean, Merrick seems like he's fighting better than he did in Ahsoka, but then again, in the Ahsoka show, he was dead. It was like probably some Night Sister magic type thing where, because when he was killed off in Ahsoka, it was like dust, green dust or gas or whatever that floated away. So alluding to maybe he was already dead, and so maybe that was why he wasn't as good of a fighter. But their saber dueling in this was phenomenal, and Devin did a really good job of standing her ground here. Fended him off enough to escape. It was like you see Merrick at the top of the building as I'm trying to remember, did they escape on a ship again? Anyways, when I saw him on top of the building, it was very reminiscent of Darth Vader in the end of Rogue One, standing outside the Admiral Radish's ship, where Tantive, the Corellian Corvette, escaped, and he's just standing there looking out, watching the ship. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit, but obviously different stakes here. So Riley and Devin get away, and I'm trying to remember. Did they get re-encountered? Had to have, right? Because they get onto a train, and then that's where Merrick engages again. And this was a cool scene. You've got this, who knows how long this tunnel is, or it's probably multiple tunnels that this train is going through, and you just see the lights flashing by. But we get another saber duel, which was really cool. And Merrick, knocks Devin's lightsaber out of her hand. She's able to go retrieve it, but they get in kind of like a stalemate, and Merrick asks her, "Where is Maul?" So kind of curious that Merrick is asking about Maul. I know that's their prime objective in coming there, but like, why would you care about Maul at this point if you have Jedi? Why don't you just take care of her first, and not kill her because you're going to want to obtain information, but maybe capture her or something and then ask. But anyways, he asks, "Where is Maul?" And then appears none other than Maul himself, and he's like, "I am right here." And then Maul engages and starts fighting Merrick. And it's really cool because as they're fighting with their single saber. And then Merrick ignites his second half of the saber. And then Maul ignites his second half of the saber. So then we've got dueling double sabers, which I don't think we've really seen since Rebels, if I remember correctly, when Maul is fighting the Inquisitors from that. But again, because of the art style in this and just the enhancements in the CGI, it made it look that much more badass in this one. And it was really cool because once they did ignite the second half of each of their sabers, the Inquisitor did his little vroom, 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 vroom thing, and then Maul right after that did his like twirling moves that he does. So it was really cool showing like the difference of fighting styles with the sabers. And Maul's probably like, "Why didn't I get one of those when I was back with the Empire?" Or not the Empire, but with Sidious and everything. But I seeing that dual saber versus dual saber was really cool. It ended a little too quickly for my taste. I'm sure they're saving bigger, badder saber fights coming up. This was just kind of a teaser, but it did end pretty quickly. Where as they're fighting, which Devin did engage, so Devin and Maul are partnering, teaming up for the first time here, fighting off Merrick. And at one point, Devin slices the train connector, which severs the train car that Merrick is on, and he kind of gets left behind as Maul, Devin, and Riley continue on. And as soon as that's done, then Devin kind of moves her saber to like face Maul in preparation to fight him. But then you see Maul look at her, and then he turns off his saber and starts walking away, signifying that like you're telling her, I'm not coming, or I'm not here to come after you. I'm here to fight the Empire and Merrick. And just again foreshadowing the whole Devin eventually succumbing to Maul's wants, and I'm sure will become his apprentice, if not apprentice, at least, you know, fight alongside him against the Empire coming up here soon. Let me make sure, looking over my notes really quick. One thing I did forget to say, when this episode started, it was really neat. So you see Maul kind of in like training mode. He's just kind of, he has a saber and he's just, going through, practicing, training, just doing some moves and everything. And you can tell that it looked a lot like, if you recall, in season 7 of Clone Wars, how they had the actors like connected to CGI stuff, so it could take their moves and digitalize it and everything. And the moves were so smooth in that it really looked like a real person, outside of like the art style again, but just the moves, it seemed real to the eye, at least my eye. It felt like I was watching something real again, outside of the cartoon art style. So then once that fight scene kind of ended and Maul kind of shows to Devin that, like, I'm not here to fight you. You can trust me. We're here. We have the same objective, type of thing. Then we see Merrick fly up to a Star Destroyer, and then goes into like a communications room and goes down to a knee and is talking to someone, and my lord and whatnot. But they never reveal who he's actually talking to. So that's kind of the main question coming at the end of this episode, is who is that? In my opinion, it can be one of 3 people. It's either Palpatine, so Darth Sidious, Darth Vader, or the Grand Inquisitor. Now, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, it can't be anyone other than Darth Vader, right? I mean, it has to be Darth Vader. So that, if that be so, then we are going to get some Darth Vader action, and we're going to probably most likely get some Darth Vader fighting Maul action, and that would be so amazing. That's the main lightsaber fights that I alluded to, that it was the one in this episode was too short, but it was just a teaser. That's what we're getting teased for, I bet. The only, or the reasons why it has to be Darth Vader in my eyes is, like, one, Darth Vader is technically their boss. The Inquisitors report to Darth Vader. They report to they report their findings to him. We get that in a lot of the books, and then if you've seen Tales of the Empire, you see that where what's her face gets trained to become an Inquisitor, and you see Darth Vader be announced as, their boss essentially. The Emperor Palpatine, I think, it ranks too high for Merrick to be reporting to. Palpatine, you don't really see the Emperor talking to too many people. You see him talking to Darth Vader, of course. You see him talking to Tarkin. And I feel like that's pretty much it. So I feel like that with the chain of ranks, it wouldn't be Palpatine. And I mean, it could be the Grand Inquisitor, but I don't think that you'd be calling the Grand Inquisitor Lord. You wouldn't be bowing to the Grand Inquisitor. You'd be following his orders. If Merrick was just kind of standing there talking to whoever, then maybe it would have been the Grand Inquisitor. But because he was kneeling and calling him Lord, my Lord, that has to be Lord Vader. In my eyes, there's no other answer. It's Darth Vader. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. And I think that really supports something that we've seen in Rebels. The reason why Maul is really interested in acquiring Ezra as an apprentice is because, and remember they encounter Vader in that. Maul tells him he can't defeat Vader alone. Before the show, we really haven't been given much indication that Maul ever encountered or knows who Vader is. I'm trying to recall season 7 of Clone Wars. Maybe it's possible there's something there. But in my mind, in that scene in Rebels where Maul says, I can't take Vader alone, it kind of alludes to the idea that he's encountered Darth Vader before and lost. And if Vader and Maul fight, Maul will probably get his ass kicked. And maybe that's why he goes into further hiding, because he's more out in the open right now. He is and isn't, but he's not, or he's a little more careless in terms of getting exposed. I mean, he was fighting in the streets and tearing down bridges and everything. Obviously, even if the Empire isn't there at that point, doing stuff like that will call attention to the Empire and risks that. And I feel like later on he's more hidden. I mean, when we see him in Rebels, he's at like a Sith temple in a place where like no one's at until, our rebel crew and the Inquisitors show up. But just very isolated, secluded, and you just get that feeling when you see him. He's cloaked. He's almost seems decrepit, but yeah. So I think when he says he can't fight Vader alone, it's because in this show we're going to see them fight and he's going to get his ass kicked. But it will still be quite the fight to see, and we'll get a true picture of their strengths and skill level when we get that fight. Because, I mean, we all look at Maul as like a very strong prior Sith, Dark Force, now, still Dark Force wielder, and we know the power of Vader. So when we see these two power clashing, and we see how bad Vader will kick his ass, then it's like, okay, we know who the Dark Lord truly is. Maul might be the Shadow Lord, but Vader is the Dark Lord. So yeah, and with that, the episode ends. Again, when he's when Merrick's speaking to someone, I'm gonna put it out there, say it's Darth Vader. Um, the episode ends after that. And yeah, again, just the show is just really doing a fantastic job. It's extremely captivating. The story is really good. The pace of it is quite quick. Um, but I think that's a good thing. I wish the episodes were a little longer. They could have delved into that fight a little more. So that's a little bit of a critique. Episode 5 was really good. I mean, it was slowed down a little bit, but I think there was a lot of important information we got out of that, and it was really just setting up for episode 6. But I would say 5 out of 6 of these episodes that we've gotten so far are just top-notch content. And we're more than halfway through season 1. Thankfully, we'll get another season. Again, that's already been announced, so we'll still get more stuff. That's probably the post Darth Vader fight and in the hiding portion of Maul. But I bet by the end of the season, we're gonna get Vader. So my guesses are Daki's gonna get taken out. I still wonder who. Could be Darth Vader. I don't think we're gonna now that if it is Darth Vader on that intercom. If that's the case, I don't think we're gonna get Palpatine. So I would say it's either gonna be Darth Vader or one of the Inquisitors or the Galactic Empire that's gonna be ending up taking Daki. I don't think Maul actually kills Daki because that would just defeat his purpose of trying to get Devin to be his apprentice. It's going to push her away if he did that. Slight chance, but I don't think so. That Devin takes Daki out. Again, I don't think that's what's going to happen, but there's a chance. And the only reason that something like that could happen is if she feels that he's in the way of her trying to move the Jedi into a new, you know, she wants the Jedi, or she wants to survive. And Daki has his own way of survival, which is the Jedi way. But she's like, where has that brought us? You know, we're begging on the streets that we've seen in previous episodes. So the only way that she would ever maybe, you know, betray her master is if she, you know, maybe she gets influenced by the dark side enough in Maul and she takes him out. Again, not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the most likely is Darth Vader ends up taking out the master, Daki. And then Maul uses that as, you know, they have a joint purpose against the Empire. That was the only reason why I thought Palpatine could do it, could be the one who does it, because Maul already has, you know, a grudge against Emperor Palpatine, and that's his primary target. So if Palpatine took out Daki, then again you have Devin and Maul who have a similar purpose to go after Sidious. But I'm going to put at this moment, I'm going to put my money on either Vader or one of the Inquisitors. I know we've only seen Merrick, but we've seen we know that, is it the 11th brother? I want to say it's the 11th brother, the long, almost like bird skull face looking Inquisitor. Could be him as well, but maybe we'll see Darth Vader take out Merrick. That's why he dies and gets brought back as a green Inquisitor ghost in Ahsoka. Who knows? Anyways, with that, I think I'll wrap it up. I went a whole lot longer than I was anticipating, but I did just want to jump on and talk about how great the show is and how much I'm enjoying it. And I know Bogey is enjoying it too. In our texts before talking about potentially going on or recording, he was excited to talk about this episode or these episodes, which I'm sure we'll get his perspective when he's on next, and I look forward to that as well. But with that, again, if you're listening to us, we're Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. Hit that subscribe button, like, follow, rate, review, comment, all the above. We greatly appreciate it. We'll be having a prize giveaway once we hit 200 subscribers. And then we'll be doing a prize giveaway of a Theory Saber lightsaber once we hit 500 subscribers. Make sure your name is public when you subscribe so that we know what names to put into the drawings. You can find us on Twitter at DetBlockAA23pod, on Instagram at detention_block_AA_23, and our Facebook group and YouTube channel, Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. And watch for content on TikTok at DetBlock AA23. Looking forward to more Maul next week. Again, another Monday. And then we only have 2 more Mondays of it left, so enjoy it while it's still here. But then we'll have the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out May 22nd. And hey, May the 4th is right around the corner. I know we'll be celebrating. Hopefully you all will be celebrating as well. And looking forward to some good stuff coming in the near future, end of April, early May, and end of May. So with that, have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. And we look forward to talking more Star Wars with all of you next week. So till then, have a great... Well, I just said that. Like, see, clearly I'm tired. Anyways, till next time, everyone. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Thanks for calling. This is Han Solo, and I'm going to be keeping you company for the next few hours right here on the Midnight Shift. Something's telling me